All right, everybody. Welcome back to my AV room. Today is Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. And today I'm going to do as I promised. I'm going to do my story. It's a story of abuse, a story of just not good times. So, this is a story why I don't like cops and I don't trust the government. This is my own personal story. I'm not giving advice. I'm not a lawyer. If you want to, make changes in the world, make sure you always get legal advice from somebody smarter than you. That's what I recommend. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, and share all my content to get the word out. And so, I can get more videos made. Please leave some comments too. Anything you want to know, you want me to do a show on, anything, leave some comments down below, y'all. Help someone out. But anyway, this is my story, y'all. So I have been abused by cops and the government my whole life, since I've been born. And I can say that fairly. So my father was a cop. I'm the son of a cop. And it was not an easy childhood. I can fairly say that. There was a lot of abuse in every which way you can think of. So it wasn't good. So I'm going to start out with when I was 8 years old. That's a good starting point. When I was 8 years old, I had a spelling test coming up, and one of the words I could not get right was the word spaghetti. I couldn't spell it, kept misspelling it. It was making my mother angry. And of course, this is back in the early 80s. So you gotta remember how things were. My mother was abused, and so was my sister. I remember when my mother said, "Wait till your father gets home." I still couldn't spell the word right, no matter how hard I tried. I was only 8 years old. Spaghetti wasn't an easy word. I remember my mother telling my father, and I remember he took that police belt off. Now, mind you, it still had the handcuffs on it, the Smith & Wesson 357 mag K-frame, still had his baton, the mace, his whole utility belt. He just took it off and started swinging on me. Got a few kicks in, stuff like that. Beat me pretty good. Had a concussion, broken ribs, broken finger. I was bruised up and down. I had to go to the hospital. It was pretty bad. None of the doctors, none of the nurses would say anything. A social worker did say something to me. Came up and said, I guess when you go back to school, you're going to do good on your spelling test, won't you? That hurt, I knew right then and there I was alone in the world and nobody gave a rat's ass. It was not an easy thing to deal with at 8 years old. So We're going to move down the line a little bit. Well, I was still around that age. My father decided to turn over a new leaf somewhat. Since he was administration, he was a sergeant in the police department, he had one of the keys to the evidence room. Well, there was stuff coming up missing. Money, drugs, chemicals, anything you can think of, guns. Stuff was coming up missing. So him and some of the agents above him, state agents, put in secret cameras. And they put everything in his office. Well, after a couple of weeks of that cameras rolling and nobody knew about it, they had enough evidence they needed to take down the chief, the assistant chief, one of the captains, the major, and a few other, just regular beat cops were in on it too. They all got taken down, fired, charged. You know how it goes. Well, those cops that got fired, they didn't take kindly to that. I still remember laying in my bed, and it was about 10 o'clock at night. It was like a Friday night, and I was staying up late watching TV. I had all types of cool stuff on the walls, like my He-Man figures and baseball card stuff, all that, all the things normal kid in the 80s had. And I remember hearing some popping sounds, really fast popping sounds. And then everything in my room around me was exploding. Everything, glass shattered everywhere. They got my sister's room, my room, because our rooms were on the front of the house. And this is just a brick house in the middle of a nice neighborhood, nice part of town, nice town. Those disgruntled cops had fully automatic weapons. And again, this is in the early 80s. Only cops had access to stuff like that. Well, they filled the house full of bullets. There's at least 60 rounds hitting that house. They just did a good old-fashioned drive-by. It was just me, my sister, and the family dog in that house that night. And it's amazing we're still alive. I still don't know how none of those bullets hit us. I still got a scar on my foot from stepping on broken glass, but that's neither here nor there. After that, my father taught me how to shoot a gun, pistol, and all that. And again, I was a little kid, and I had to have a pistol under my pillow to sleep. We had a secret knock. If we didn't hear that knock, we were to shoot through the door. That's what me and my sister were trained to. Don't ask questions, don't say anything, just pull the trigger. And I was still under 10 years old. So being a young kid, being in the fear of your life because of some bad cops wanted to hurt you is one of the saddest things ever. It's very sad. And it still affects me to this day. So, moving on, we had a Karen come in the neighborhood. They decided real quick not to like me because of who my father was. I guess he pulled them over, gave them a ticket, something, who knows. They just didn't like him. So anytime I rode my bicycle down the road, they called the cops on me. And I was just a kid. Most of the cops knew me, so they wouldn't bother me. But still, it was harassment. Now, moving on again, of course, this is a long time ago. So now moving on, I turned about 13 years old. I got me a little enduro motorcycle. Had the lights on it, license plate, got my hardship license. I could only be 7 miles from the house, operate during daytime hours, but for me it was freedom. I could get away, I could ride and be free. And I didn't know what that was like until then. Well, Karen didn't like that, so I got the cops called on me many times, to the point where half the department knew I had a license and who I was and all that, and they just wouldn't come out on their calls after that. So, but it was still pretty bad in the neighborhood. She kept calling the cops on me. It was nonstop harassment. It was horrible, very horrible. So we decided to move to a whole nother county in the middle of nowhere. For me, that was a whole new beginning of life for me, a fresh start, a new beginning. Going somewhere nobody knows me, especially the cops. It was real nice for a little bit. But again, I had a little motorcycle, and of course the county cops figured out real quick I was a kid with a motorcycle, and they had to start harassing me. I couldn't even make it halfway down the road sometime. And here comes the cop, because they knew what time I'd be out. And half the time it's the cop that pulled me over the day before, pulling me over again, just for shits and giggles. By this time I was getting good at talking to them, knowing what I can and can't say. Well, I will say this before I continue on. Since I was at that age, I started going to karate, taking lessons on boxing and all that. Started building my confidence up. I remember one day my father said something I didn't like, and he would do that sometimes. And I stood up. I said, I ain't taking this crap no more. So to the ground we went fighting. We rolled around, got in front of the kitchen or the bathroom, right there in front of the sink. He got up off of me. He reared back to, give me one of those knockout punches. Well, I saw it coming and I ducked. And his hand hit that kitchen sink or that bathroom sink, and it broke in a few places. I was able to react. I went and I grabbed the baseball bat and I ran back in there, and this time he was in tears, saying I'm sorry and begging for forgiveness and all that. So I put down the bat because I knew I won. When the bully cries and begs, that's over, done. So me and him never fought like that again. He didn't yell at me. He actually started being my father after that. Started being a good father, because he retired right after that from the police department and got his disability and all that stuff. So we're going to move down now till when I was 16. Well, when I was 16, I got my driver's license. Had me a nice little truck, little GMC Cyclone truck with the V8 in it, lowered, had the sound system in it. Of course, had me a little job, and I was paying for it, and things were going pretty good. Well, the cops didn't like that little vehicle because it was really fast, really loud. The radio was loud and the exhaust was loud. And I had a Malibu that was 79 Malibu Super Sport, and it had about a 700 horsepower engine in it. And sometimes I like driving it too. Let's just say I've been pulled over 100 times by a cop, but I got a pretty good driving record. So I'll just say that. Oh man. But yeah, they harassed me a lot when I was a kid, pulled me over all the time. It was not fun, but I survived it. We'll move on till when there's a new Karen to move in the neighborhood. Well, I had a best friend, and he got with this old girl, and everybody told him, old girl was dirty, she was nasty, don't get with her, she's a horrible person, you'll regret it the rest of your life. And well, she took his virginity and he fell in love. True Karen of the sense, anyway. And she was just a horrible person. Everybody knew her. I grew up around her. She's just horrible. But anyway, as soon as they moved in the area, she couldn't wait to the chance to call the cops on yours truly here. And of course, out of the many times she's called the cops on me, none of it stuck, and none of it took, and none of it stuck. Nothing like that. But a few times she did call on herself. That's what Karens do. She got herself in trouble for running that mouth. So I got married to my first wife, and she was crazy as she could be. And she loved calling the cops on me. She did that a few times. And of course, it backfired on her. And last time she learned when she was sitting in the back of the car that calling the cops on yours truly isn't a good idea. I can think pretty quick on my heels and know what to do and what to say. And of course, I stay out of trouble. I don't do no wrong. I'm a good citizen. So with that being said, we're going to get into the times where times got a little darker for me. Then they got better, then they got darker. We all know how that goes. Well, me and the ex broke up, and times got a little gloomy for me. And I had some run-ins with the cops, and I was addicted to a few things, and it's not good. Because, my life before wasn't that great. So y'all can imagine why I was doing what I was doing when I got in my early 20s. And we'll move along to when I got with my second wife, the one I'm still currently with. We've been together over 20 years now. And I'm truly blessed to have a really good woman by my side. I am truly blessed by that. If there is a creator, I think he got us together. Or she, however you look at the creator. So, I got in a little trouble one time in a hotel room with a few party favors. And it was the wrong county to be in and everything else, but we lost our house in a flood. We lost everything. Our house was underwater for 7 days. All my vehicles, the four-wheeler, mower, my boat, everything just got trashed from the flood. We lost it all. It was not good times. We had to start over. And this, I've had to start over 3 or 4 times completely. So But this time it really hurt. And we had everything. We had a nice little home. It wasn't big, but it was nice. It was comfortable, and it was ours. Had a bunch of vehicles, one for each kid, and everything. I had it all, and I lost it. Well, you know, I found my solace, in the bottom of a pill bottle and bottom of a liquor bottle, and we know how that goes. But I got myself straightened up. I took a lot of work, but I've been completely clean. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't do drugs. I'm about as perfect citizen as a perfect citizen can get now, and I'm proud of it. I wouldn't have it any other way these days. So yeah, my sister, she called the cops on me a few times because I was all messed up. Had to deal with that. I wrecked a vehicle one time. Now with this wreck, it was hilarious. I was still on probation. Had like a month left of probation, and I done got messed up and wrecked the vehicle. Done rolled it. Well, when I came up out of that vehicle, I was sober instantly, adrenaline pumping. And I was not drinking alcohol, okay? So adrenaline was pumping. I come out of that car like, ready to go. Well, there's a cop that pulled up, worked the wreck, and he came up to me and said, "Son, that's a pretty bad wreck. You got a missing front tire. What'd you do? Have a blowout and flip?" "Yes, sir. That's exactly what happened." He goes, "Man, you're lucky to be alive." Like, yes, sir. He was a really cool cop, though. I guess he knew real quick, after running my license, saw that I was on probation and all that, and he helped the man out. My wife got there, picked me up, took me home, and everything was hunky dory. I was off probation the next month, and we went along with our lives. We paid a lot in court costs, all that crap. It was horrible. Never want to deal with that again, and I won't. So we're going to move on down the line a little bit more now, because there's been a few years there I didn't have any problems. Then a friend of mine I've known a long time, he's son of a cop. Me and him same age. Our fathers knew each other. We knew each other since this tall. He's had a hard life. Hey, he's, Marine veteran, all that. Used to be a really good stand-up guy, but Oxycontin and liquor got a hold of him and messed him up. And then he had real bad back problems, had a cage built around his spine. So, he's addicted to all that pain stuff. It wasn't good. He had a hard life too, being the son of a cop. Got abused regularly too, you know how it is. But he was in some hard times. And he had his friend with him, and I didn't know him, but I figured, they needed a place to stay for a little while. So I let them stay in my camper. Got an old camper that needed some work anyway, and they were willing to help do some work to stay in it for a little while. So, no big deal. Well, his buddy decided, as soon as he made a little money, I got him a job. Both of them, I got a job. As soon as his buddy got a little money, I let them borrow a Suburban I had, and it was just no crap vehicle. I didn't care about it, but it was the principle of the thing, you know. So I let them use it for whatever they needed, get to work, get supplies, whatever. Well, old dude takes off in it and doesn't come back. So after a couple of days, I was like, well, I guess I got to report the vehicle stolen because, you know, I don't know what's going to happen, whatever. But I don't want nothing coming back on me, you know, because they run the tags on it. It's going to come back to me. And I don't want to deal with that. So I called the local sheriff's department and told them, hey, I need an officer out here because I need to make a stolen vehicle report. Well, the officer comes out like 3-4 hours later. You know how they are. They take their sweet time. And I told them, hey, this dude took off from the vehicle. They ain't come back. You know, I got to report the vehicle stolen, you know, because he stole it. Well, the cop just wouldn't do it. He goes, it's not my problem. You let your buddy borrow your vehicle. If he don't bring it back, that's not my problem. I'm like, really, dude? The vehicle's stolen, man. Come on. All you gotta do is say it's stolen. I don't care if it comes back. Y'all can auction it off for the kids, you know, for St. Jude or something. I don't care. I just don't want it coming back to me. And even then, he goes, oh, no, that's paperwork I don't want to deal with. And then all this, then he started going, hey, I need to see your ID. You got any warrants on you or anything? So let's just say, oh, yours truly here did not give him the ID. And then after that, he was on his way back to the sheriff's department after that. Told him he was trespassing, get the fuck out. It is what it is. You know how it goes. So that's when I knew they're on fishing things. That's all they do is fish, especially here. That's all they do. They're on fishing expeditions now. So we're going to move a year past that now. And this is here, you know, recently. To the run-in I had with them that caused me the PTSD I have to this day. And I've still been getting treatment on it and all that, but I've learned to deal with it a lot better. I've learned to channel it, and I'm doing a lot better with the PTSD. But it's not been easy. And the PTSD came from the last ordeal with the sheriff's department, not my whole life. Would you imagine that? So I'm going to tell you this story, and this is what almost broke me. But I'm back bigger, better than ever, and doing way better now. So don't worry about little old me. So I left work early, had to go to a doctor's appointment. Went to the doctor and all that and got done. It was a little after lunch, and I was done with everything at work. I decided just to come home since I didn't have to go back to work. I got home about an hour and a half early or so. And this is middle of January, and it's cold outside, like 10 degrees. I pull up in my driveway, and while I'm driving up my driveway, I see my wife laying on the ground below the deck there. I didn't know if she fell, tripped. Didn't know what happened. So I run up to her. And she was out. And I guess she heard me yelling, and she sat up. And I noticed she had scratches all over her forehead. Her glasses were a few feet away from her, busted. Her cell phone was a few more feet away from her, busted. And I just looked up and looked down, and it took me that long to figure out she fell off the deck. And it's a good 16-foot drop. It didn't take me long to figure that out. I mean, common sense. Well, here where we live, cell phones don't work too good. So I wasn't getting good reception. I was running around the yard, going all crazy, trying to get my phone to get a call out to 911. And so I texted my sister and told her, and I got the text through, and she called for me. And I was texting because we just got the text for the call center where you can text your shit in. And I was texting with them. Well, I get it through, and I'm on the other side of the yard. I come back to run and check on her. She's done crawled halfway in the house. So I get her laid down because I didn't want her moving, because if she took in a fall like that, who knows what she could be damaging. So I had to, be like, lay down, be still. I covered her in a blanket. And it wasn't even a minute later, 2 cops show up. You call for an ambulance and cop shows up. Now keep in mind, we have a fire department like 2.5 miles down the road, and there's a fireman there all the time. He's EMS certified, all that. He gets here 2 minutes after they do. Well, it was a pigtail and jackboot that showed up. And I told him what happened. It's like, hey, I came home, found her, called you guys. Dude, she needs help. She's out of it. I think she's had a head injury. Because she ain't making no sense. So they're on their little mics, on their little walkie-talkies, and telling them, hey, possible head injury, and all this stuff. Well, the jackboot was looking on my dresser that by the door and saw one of my pistols there. We keep pistols by the door. You never know who comes up to your door, and you need to be armed. Well, he sees that pistol and says, hey, sir, can I secure this for you in my car real quick? We got, more people coming. We just don't need this laying out. I was like, yeah, go right ahead. No problem. And this last thing I was worried about was a damn old pistol. Well, anyway, the fireman shows up, and as soon as he gets there, he has the board with him and all that. As soon as he's there, he calls in for life flight. Helicopter's on its way. That's how bad of an injury this was. And you can see why I'm freaking out. So they got a bird coming. Well, by this time, 10 more cops show up. They're everywhere in my yard. And then they get her out to the ambulance and get her loaded up. And I'm getting in my car. I'm going too, I'm going to go with them. Had an idiot cop come up to me and say, sir, you can't go. You got to stay here. We got to ask you a bunch of questions. I was like, guys, I done told y'all everything I know. I'm going to be on that ambulance with her. I'm going to be on that bird with her. I'm her husband. It's the way it is. They said, no, sir. They blocked my vehicle in. They cars around it, all up in my yard, all around my driveway. One of them almost went off in my creek, in my pond. They're complete retards. Next thing I know, I see a cop running around my whole yard with crime scene tape. Well, these gears start clicking real quick. Then I heard some accusations in the background. I heard a cop telling another couple of cops, I think he done something to her. I think he pushed her or something. He hit her something. And then at that same time, I saw 2 more jackboots walking toward me, putting their murder gloves on. Well, I was smart enough to get my phone out and hit record. The moment I hit that record button. Those jackboots are walking toward me with those, putting those murder gloves on. All of a sudden, we're taking the gloves back off and turning back around. I mean, like that. The accusations went like that because of that camera. Then one of them goes, "Sir, you ain't got to record. You don't have to record. We're all recording. We all got our cameras on, sir. You ain't got to record." That's when I go, you know what? Your cameras, half the time don't work. Y'all can edit them. Y'all can mute them. Y'all can turn them on. Y'all can turn them off. Y'all can have missing crap. Your cameras are no good. My camera cannot be deleted. There is going to be no editing, no muting, none of that. This is going to work better in court. Then he was like, "Whatever, sir, whatever." So then, of course, y'all know, yours truly here starts running that mouth, calling them every name I could think of, from tyrant to, Hitler's foot soldiers. Well, that got me put in the back of the car. Yeah, I was pissed, yelling, "I want the fucking supervisor here now." They said, "Sir, he's on the way." In my head, I'm going, thank God. At least the supervisor might be a little smarter. I hope. I could only hope. But anyway, supervisor gets there and they let me out of the car. I tell the supervisor what happened. They came home, found wife, called 911. Here we are. That's basically it. I even voluntarily showed him our text messages, her phone and mine. I lifted up my shirt, showed my hands, like no scratches, no bruises, no nothing on me. They even went to the neighbors, asking the neighbors what kind of person I was. And each neighbor told them we were the perfect couple. We never fight, never argue, none of that. Well, this lieutenant turned out, he's been in the news before for covering up stuff. Somehow he's still got a job. He's known, and this is on YouTube, you can look it up. He's the lieutenant that's known for the guy that in the jail, the deputies handcuffed to a chair, and then they tasered him while he was handcuffed. Well, it got out, and he did a internal investigation and found no wrongdoing. Well, somebody got hold of the security tape from the jail and made it to the news channel. And then he goes, "Well, I never saw the video." So, and then that cop that was doing the tasering, he got fired. But anyway, this was the same lieutenant that I had to deal with. Well, I told him, "Hey, I have security videos around here. I can show you on the video what happened. No problem." He goes, "Oh, I'm not worried about no video. I'm just taking your word for it." Like, "Okay, good. You need anything else from me?" He goes, "No, I'm good. I think I'm done. You can go ahead and go." I said, "Good." Well, I said, "This deputy over here took my pistol. I want it back." And he goes, "All right, deputy, give the man his pistol back because he's good to go." Well, this jackboot goes to his car and gets my pistol. Of course, it's going to be loaded, full magazine, one in the chamber. There's no other way. He brings it up to me. Now he's holding it on the barrel and then passes it to me handle first. I knew what he was doing. If I'd grabbed that pistol by the handle, I would have had a loaded gun pointed at him. and then they would have taken me down. And there's like 5 or 6 cops that were surrounding me when this was happening. I saw it. I knew then what they were trying to do. Started thinking real quick. I said, no, sir. You need to put that pistol back where you found it. He goes, I can't put it back in your house, sir. Your pit bull you got there trying to bite my ass. That dog will eat me if I go back in there. I said, well, you see my truck there? I went and unlocked the door. Put it under a seat and locked the door behind you. The other cops around were like, God damn it. They were mad because they couldn't get me like that. As soon as that door locked on my truck, they, you guys have a good day. I hopped in my car and I was gone. I got to the hospital, met my mother-in-law there, and we tried to go in the emergency room so we can find out what's going on. Security wouldn't let me in. They let my mother-in-law in, but they wouldn't let yours truly in. Right then and there, I knew something was up. Then around the corner, I saw the lieutenant and his little butt buddy walking around. They saw me. I seen them. They come up to me and go, why are you here, sir? I said, why the hell do you think I'm here? I'm here to find out what's going on with my wife. And they won't let me in. Why is that? That lieutenant goes, well, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I said, oh, so you're going to lie to me, huh? He goes, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, really? You're going to lie to me right here in the middle of the emergency room door entrance. You're just going to lie to me right to my face. I go, you realize that you're not in the county we're in. We're in a different county and you have no jurisdiction here, right? He goes, yeah. I said, so you want to lie to me one more time? I started going off. Him and his butt buddy ran to their car. I mean, they ran. I got the camera on them. I was like, hey, what'd you just tell me? You know, they ran, took off. I was like, hey, you know, both of them. So next day, I called up there. I was like, and I called the lieutenant. He gave me his number. I was like, hey, why am I under investigation? He goes, well, I got belief that you might have hurt your wife. I was like, you know what? I got surveillance video around my house, and I got video of what happened. I told you that at the house. I'm telling you again now. He goes, again, oh, I'm not worried about that video. I go off other stuff. So this goes on for 7 days. And of course, my wife is out of it. She was in the hospital for 6 weeks, 2 weeks in trauma, 2 weeks in ICU, and 2 weeks in the rehab. So, it was a good stay for her. And it wasn't going to be anytime soon before they could, talk to her because, she has to be mentally capable for it. So my daughter comes in town. She's a doctor. It took her a few days to get here because, doctors, they got to do their thing. We all understand that. She gets here finally to the house, and I give her the video. I was like, and she didn't know what was going on, and she's already talked to the lieutenant. He lied to her. He lied to my mother-in-law. He lied to the doctors, the nurses. This fuckstick lied to everybody. He's a real good little liar. But he lied many times. But I gave my daughter the video, told her what to do with it, and plus she already knew what to do with it. She called that lieutenant to the hospital. She says, my wife or my mother is coherent, but we got other stuff to talk about too. You got to get here now. I got things I got to report to you. Well, he got there quick because he thought that she was going to turn me in. That's what she made it sound like. So he would get there. And he got there quick because, well, again, he thought that she was going to have something on me for him to put me in jail. They could put their hands on me, murder me, whatever. You know what cops do. Well, it turned out the opposite happened. She goes, since you're here now, here's a video you need to watch. And she went, oh, well, she goes, no, you're going to watch it because if you don't, this law firm right here has already said they will take your department down. And you're going to go on every news channel, national and local. I've done called them. And she was recording on her phone down on the side. And he goes, well, she goes, when he started stuttering, she goes, I've been recording you this whole time. I got you on camera saying, I don't care about the video. He goes, fine, I'll watch the video. As soon as he watched it, she goes, now, are you going to close the case or do I need to go to the news channels? He closes the case real quick. Then I get to see my wife on day 8. Now, during this time, these 8 days, I'm without my wife. We've not really had any time apart since we've been married. And here I am worried sick about her. Nobody's called me. Nobody texted me. Nobody at the hospital talked to me. Nothing like that. It was a nightmare. I freaked out. It was not good times. I was in a bad place. Then when I finally got to the hospital, I didn't leave. I stayed with her for 6 weeks. I was by her side. And of course, a snowstorm happened and shut the whole city down. And all the doctors and nurses that were there stayed there for like 2 weeks. And the restaurants downstairs, the cafeteria, all that ran out of food. It was just the worst experience ever. And I got no sleep for 5 weeks. None. Because the medicine they were giving her kept her awake the whole time. So she didn't get no sleep. I didn't get no sleep. It was the worst. Every night, every day, nonstop, no sleep. I don't know how I lived through it, but I did. But it gave me extreme PTSD to the point where I don't trust anybody or anything. My wife is the only person I trust, and my kids. But my wife's the only person I trust, and I've become highly protective of her. If I see somebody even look at her wrong, I've done jumped in their ass so deep that they ain't coming back, you know. I'm giving them the lashing they deserve. I'm highly protective of my wife now. Nobody will look at her. Nobody can touch her. All I'm going to say is if somebody crosses her and I'm there, it's not going to be good. That's how protective I am of her. And you can't blame me for it. It's how things are now. But my rights are violated many times throughout my life. And this last time they were violated. My wife's rights were violated. And I was stuck in a time where I should have just had to worry about my wife and that was it. I could have dealt with that. no problem. But the fact that I had to not only worry about her, but worry about myself because some jackboot thug pigs wanted to play games with me, unacceptable. Unacceptable. That's what gave me the PTSD. That's what made me take an oath. Well, I took a vow. Oaths, let me say this, oaths are easy to break. Cops break their oath every day. Doctors break their oath every day. Lawyers break their oath every day. Politicians do. Oath ain't nothing. An oath is nothing, okay? It can be broken very easily. So I took a vow. A vow is something personal, something that only you can break, and that's something very hard to do. I took a vow I'll never have my rights violated again. Never. My wife's rights will never be violated again. And I will stand up on anything for that. I will never, ever be violated ever again. This I promise. I do have a very good, greasy lawyer, and I have educated myself way better, way more. And I have some smart people to talk to about it. So I know what to do now, how to handle things, how to get through life better and easier. So me being the Sigma male that I am, I've had to channel this energy and direct it. So here we are with this camera. So I'm going to be exposing all these people that's violated my rights. I started my little news channel now, and I'm going to be, Mr. Investigative Journalist. I'm going to start doing FOIA requests and everything else, interviewing people, and I'm going to expose the government, the cops, and whoever else crosses me. I'm going to dig up crap. I'm going to find out, and I'm going to put it all over the news for everybody to see. That's how that's going to go. And that's what makes me feel better. I feel way better about myself if I do that, That puts me in the winning seat. And that's the reason why I'm going to change the name of my page now from Private Citizens Neighborhood to Blue Coat News Media or something like that. Still working on the design and the name, but yours truly here is going to have a lot of fun. So that's my story, y'all. I'm sorry it's a little longer video, but that's why I've become the person I am today. I don't take crap from nobody. I run my mouth when I need to. And, if somebody wants to step up, well, I'm going to put them back down, knock them down a peg or two. I ain't taking crap off nobody anymore. Just the way it goes. My rights have been violated too many times. I'm learned how to use this camera. And like I said, I'm going to be using it and putting everything I see that's bad, I'm going to be putting it on here for everybody to see. So that's my story, y'all. That's why I am the way I am today. If there's anybody out there that has a story similar to mine, talk about it. Let people know. Don't keep it in. I feel better about myself after saying something about it because maybe my story will help somebody. Maybe it'll prevent them from going down the road I did. I just hope it does help somebody out there. You're not alone, okay? No matter the childhood you had, the life you had, you're still able to make friends and have people out in this world to care about you. So just remember that, y'all. There are people in this world that actually do care. And I'm one of those people that do. I might be a, extreme right-wing conservative, but with that being said, a lot of my friends are like left-wing nut jobs. But we have a lot of the same ideas, but different directions sometimes. But I'm real good friends with some liberals. Doesn't mean because they're liberal and I'm super conservative, doesn't mean that we can't be friends, because with me saying I'm super conservative is only meaning by my wallet. I'm socially liberal. I love everybody. I don't hate nobody. I try to be a good person, and if I see somebody that's, being abused, I don't care what their political reasons are, or their ideologies, or if they're gay or straight, black or white, brown, it don't matter. If I see somebody violating their rights, I'm going to help them. So I hate bullies. Bullies are the worst. And I'm not going to sit there and stand there and watch somebody get bullied. I will help. And that's why I'm doing this. So more people have a voice. I'm fighting for you, so you will have a voice. And remember that camera there that you have in your pocket, that is your voice now. You use that camera anytime you see something wrong, you film it and you put it on any social media you want, from the Facebooks, cookbooks, any book you want, QuickBooks, it don't matter. Put it on there. Let everybody see. Because the only way corruption is going to stop is to expose it. And once it's exposed for everybody to see, then it will stop. And that's how it goes these days. So, guys, that's about it for today. That's my story. Please like, subscribe, and share all my content. Let's get it out there so everybody gets the word. Please, always, film the government, film the cops. It might just save your life. I'm out of here. Y'all have a good night. I'll see y'all tomorrow.